owner of FAF Beauty. FAF stands for Fab and Fearless. I make all of these nail polish and have an upcoming lip gloss collection called Fab Gloss. You can order at my website www.fafbeauty.com. Be Fab, be Fearless, be you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Carla Murphy Show, Uniquely Different. I am your host, Carla Andrea Murphy, and we are in for an exciting evening. We're in for a jam-packed show, and we are looking forward to you being educated, enlightened, and encouraged. So I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. First, we are just so happy that we're going to have with us and celebrate Miss Faith Amani from Fab and Fearless. She is a 16-year-old youngpreneur. She has created her own nail polish line. It is amazing. The colors are warm, they are bright, they are beautiful. It's a nice, smooth polish, and she's going to tell us all about it. So that's Fab and Fearless is her business. We're so honored to have with us one who is a Toastmaster. Her name is Miss Rose O'Keefe. She is from the Rochester, New York area. We know her as an author. She's a nonfiction author, a writer, a speaker. She's a local historian. She shares ways to reduce bullying, and she fosters self-esteem in people throughout her storytelling. She tells a lot about the history of the Rochester, New York area. She's extremely knowledgeable about it, especially the Genesee Valley, the Southwest Rochester, and Rochester's South Wedge. She is an author about one who is familiar to us, Mr. Frederick Douglass and his family. She writes about Mr. Frederick Douglass and his family in the Rochester area. So without any further ado, thank you so much for joining us. And we are now going to hear from Miss Rose O'Keefe. Good evening, Miss Rose.
Thank you, Carla, and thank you, other people on the show. I grew up I'm the fourth of 7 children. I grew up in a white, middle-class Catholic family, and we read a lot. When I was in 7th grade, my mother was head of our parish library, and of course, we had to help her, especially on Sundays after Mass. And one of the books that made a huge impression on my life was, if you can see this, it was a biography of Martin de Porres. And back in the 60s, he wasn't called a saint yet. He was called Blessed Martin. And he was one of my mother's favorites. She prayed to him all the time. And when I read his biography, it touched me very deeply. And it really stayed with me for life. He is the patron saint of interracial justice because he was Native, Black, and European. And in 7th grade, that must have gotten stuck in there because it stayed with me for life. But I also grew up, we had Catholic missionary magazines that showed where priests and nuns were all over the world, every continent, every culture, sharing faith and bringing education to people all over the world. So I grew up with that model of faith showing that we are all children of God. It's in there. It is in there. When we moved to the South Wedge, at the time, 40 some years ago, this neighborhood was not in good shape at all. And the house that we bought that was very affordable was what you call a total fixer-upper. I knew zero about Frederick Douglass when I moved over here in the late 70s. And when our children went to 12 school, I just remember when our daughter was in 4th and 5th grade for Black History Month, she always did Rosa Parks. We didn't know that the Douglass family lived on the site of 12 school where both my children went to school. Never learned about it then, learned a little bit about it later. And then when I wrote my second book, I knew just a little bit more about the Douglas family. That they had there was a family house on Hamilton and Bond in this neighborhood. That was just coming out in the news. By the time I did my third book, I kept learning, learning. I'm a nosy person. If I get interested in something, I want to know more about it. I kept going. I just kept learning. And by the time I did this one, I had enough to fill a book. So there's my book. And my focus on them was always on their family, because once I found out that the Douglas family house is where 12 school is, I just wondered, what would it be like to be a kid in that family? I cannot imagine what it would have been like, but I made a good guess, and I did write, let's see if I get it without the glare. I did write a fiction story called Special Delivery, and it features Lewis Douglas because I needed a character of exactly the right age in 1851 when the family moved from Alexander Street to South Avenue. So I made a whole story about it because I thought, can you imagine moving when the Underground Railroad's going on? Oh, yeah. I don't know how much time I've taken up, so I'm going to just show you. This is a hefty book that I got it for $15 in local history in Rochester when it came out, 2018. This is an astounding book of collected letters of the sons to the father and a little bit to each other. And I've gotten awfully fond of Lewis over the years, and it shows there are pictures in it. I highly recommend this book. I've always focused on the family because I saw that whether Frederick Douglass was in town or not, the family was here. They had to deal with, oh my gosh, chores. They had wood stoves. They were very into learning. They had tutors to make sure that they learned, but some of them went to what was 13 school on Gregory Street briefly. They had a rough life. It was, the more I learned about them, it was humbling. They had a hard time. And yet, when I read about some of the hassles they had, I just go, man, that sounds exactly like me and my kids. And when Douglas came back from his book tour in England, Ireland, and Scotland, he was convinced there's one family, the human family, and that's the one that he belonged to. And I appreciate that. He was not brought up with his astounding statement, right is of no sex, truth is of no color. He had the exact opposite experience and yet came to that conclusion partly through faith. He had a very, very strong faith that carried him through so much, and so did the family. And my thing with them about my fiction book is, well, I was Catholic. They were maybe African AME Methodist, but they were strict. And in some ways, strict families are a lot alike. And I was able to see past some of the obvious differences to our common bonds as families, doing our best to raise our children so that they are sane and healthy and productive in a complicated world. Our world today is just as complicated as theirs, and that is what humbled me. So, good enough for me?
Miss Rose,
Anything else?
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I would like to know, how long have you been an author?
The first book, Rochester South Wedge, came out in 2005. And then Southeast Rochester, I tell people I actually recommend my second book over the first one because it has a wonderful history of the city. So much of what the city used to have has been torn down, and it's, all the farm fields or whatever are now housing tracts that, people think they've been there forever. No, they weren't. And where the Douglas family moved to 12 school right across from Highland Hospital, that was considered the boonies when they moved out there. And that's why they moved out there, to get away from prying eyes, so that the family could have privacy, safety, peace of mind on the edge of the city, right by what we now call Highland Park. It was country. It was out there.
Well, Ms. Rose, this has been an amazing story that you've shared. Can you please tell the viewers and the listeners how they can purchase your book?
All of my books are for sale on my website, which is rokeefehistory.com. And I know that I've been told I'm a horrible business person because I tell people all my books are in the library. I'm a huge believer in public libraries, and all my books are in the library. But if you're totally interested in a signed copy, you can get one through my website. And actually, if you know me through Toastmasters, you can get it that way.
So what is, just one more time, what is the web address?
Rokeefe, ROKEEFE history. Oh, I said it wrong. .com, www. Yeah. Oh, dearie, have I messed that up too much?
No, you're fine. So we thank you so much for sharing with us on the Carla Murphy Show. We're certainly looking forward to hearing from you in the future on future episodes. And we hope that you have a wonderful evening and be safe out there. Thank you, Ms. Rose.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I have to move on.
It's okay. We understand.
All right.
Next up, we're just so excited tonight. It's a family affair. We have Miss Deborah Bullard, who is here with us on the Carla Murphy Show. I know Miss Deborah Bullard to be a Toastmaster. She's a mother, a grandmother. She is a sister, a friend. She is a youth leader. She's a member of the Great Lakes Baptist District Association. I know her to work with the young people. I know her to work as a corresponding secretary. She is definitely a beautiful person. I know her as a Christian educator. She works with Vacation Bible School. She sings in the choir, and she has a background in finances. We are so happy to have Mrs. Deborah Bullard here this evening, and it is a family affair. If you know Miss Deborah, when you see Miss Deborah, you see one of the family members also, and particularly that dear sister, Miss Cindy. So we're just grateful to have you here, and we are in your hands. Miss Deborah Bullard, take us away.
Well, good evening, everyone. And thank you, Carla Murphy, Miss Carla Murphy, for letting me be on your show. First of all, I want to give honor to where honor is due. That is the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And when we think about family, my dad, Willie Bullard Sr., and my mom, Willie Mae Bullard, were the arche of our family. The hierarchy, I would say. They're both deceased. But when we think about family, my mom and dad would always have everyone over. And they would say, well, and they call my dad Sonny. Sonny, what do you want me to bring? Just bring yourself. Years and years ago, Dad will cook, he will barbecue, and Mom will cook in the kitchen. And everyone would come over And I remember my cousin said, I recall us having those dinners, and Uncle Sonny never ever charged us for anything. And that was something that my parents had instilled in me. So when they passed away, we had made a pact. We said that we're going to make sure that that tradition does not go by the wayside. So, and we had started, this was pre-COVID. We had started once a month on Sunday after, service. Everyone would make a dish. It was like a potluck. Everyone would make a dish and we would fellowship. Man, we would play spades, we would play cards, we would play bingo, and we will all socialize together as family because family is very important. And so since COVID hit, and COVID has hit so many areas in our lives. And my daughter, and I'll say myself too, I started a conference call for the family just to get to see, what you're doing, how you're feeling during this pandemic, which has hit us so hard. I'm so used to being in a crowd. I'm so used to being face to face and being able to touch and hug. We're touchy feely type of people. But with COVID, we must stay safe. We must stay masked up. We must stay sanitized. So, but we have these coordination where my daughter did the Facebook conference call with everybody. So from the youngest to the oldest, we got to see each other. And I had some nieces that are out of town in Florida, and we were able to see them. They said how we missed each other. So we know if family missed each other, once that we see, that we used to go to church and have fellowship, we missed each other. So family is so important. I have two daughters and one son. They're all grown. And I have four grandkids. I love reading to my grandkids. And now with the pandemic, my grandkids are here with me. And so they're doing their online learning. And, I had a teacher that sent out a notice saying that it is very hard. It's very hard and they need your help. Parents, guardian, whoever, we need your help. And they said they need your help to make sure the kids, number one, because they're not going out, have something to eat. Number two, making sure that they're get a good night's sleep so they're not slumped over at the computer. Making sure that if they do feel tired, you're there to say, okay, and making sure that they're properly dressed. Because we know that with the online learning, they think they could get away with just being in your pajamas. No, you still have to get up. You still have to, wash your face, brush your teeth, have something to eat, be alert so you can learn. And so as a grandparent, my daughter works. So when she's not able to help the kids, I'm there. And they say, Nana, I need your help with this. Now, I'm going to tell you, teaching these days, the way they teach is really hard, but I try my best to do and help them in each and every way that I can. So that's one thing. And being in closed in. So they still do activities like gym. You still have to have the blood still have to flow. So they do gym, but that's just one aspect. The other aspect is family, we eat. And I have gained weight. I have gained COVID weight. I tell you, I saw a friend of mine who I haven't seen for a while, Miss Alicia Ling Lewis. She came over. She said, "Oh my God!" I said, "Yes, this is COVID. This is because I was a very active person. I went to the gym once a week, and I went to what we call Franklin High School. It was a track. I would do 2 miles a day. 10 rounds around the track. So I was very active. So being in the house and being closed off and not doing things like that, I really set my goal for this year to get back out with my family, because my grandkids said, Nana, can I go with you? Yes, you can. They need exercise too. So I'm going to get back out with the family. We're going to go back to the track. We're going to go back to, doing things outside. We got to remember, yes, it's COVID, but we got to get back into some kind of normalcy, some kind. We know it's not going to be the same, but thank God the Lord has made a way that we can do it, and we can do it safely. So that's what family is so important. I mean, when I say family, I'm talking about my immediate family. I'm talking about my church family. I'm talking about my friends. That's one thing that I want to make sure everybody is good. So I don't, not a person that puffs myself up, but I'm going to tell you, during this pandemic, I chose my girlfriend who lives in Monroe, Louisiana, and her sister, who is a minister. She also do Bible studies, which I'm going to go on after your show. I sent them candy because, you know what? Sometimes it's just good to have something, and we consider family, to have something from somebody that you never thought they were going to send you something. I sent them some Valentine candy. I said, I appreciate you teaching. Family, you teach Bible studies. You get to know the word inside and out. And my girlfriend, we had been friends for years. We are considered family. So I sent her candy too. So family is so important. When you have people in your life and you want them to be to sustain in your life, and you want them to have a longevity, family, to me, I love my family, immediate family, church family, friends. I love everybody, and I want everybody to be okay in this pandemic. So that family, to me, that is to my heart, Sister Murphy. And when you said my sister is, you see me, you see her. And we recently went on a outing, and she was like so happy because you're in the house all the time. She was so happy, saying this has been the best day I've had in a long time. So family, we continue to love on each other. We continue to help each other, and that's what family means to me. So everyone on this line, I thank you for your time. Sister Carla Murphy, I thank you for having me, and God bless everyone.
Thank you so much, Miss Deborah. I feel better because family is everything. And as you stated, family is not only blood. Friends are the family that we choose, our community, as well as our church. But I just have one question, Miss Deborah. When you have those family dinners, is there some fried fish going on?
Yes.
So I've missed all of the good treats. So I'm holding you to it. I love a nice fish sandwich.
Yes. You're more than welcome, Miss Carla.
Thank you so much. Lots of love and prayers to you and the entire Bullard family. And thank you so much for coming and joining us on the Carla Murphy Show. For truly, Miss Deborah, you are uniquely different. Thank you. God bless you and have a wonderful night.
Well, thank you. God bless you also.
Thank you. Next up is one who is definitely uniquely different. We know this individual as a member of the Mount Vernon Baptist Church in Rochester, New York. He's the president of the male chorus. He sings in an all-male chorus, the Voices of Thunder. He is a layman. We know him to be a retired credit manager from WEG Electric. He's a bowler and a great baseball player. He still actively plays baseball. As we can see behind this gentleman, he's won many trophies. He's the father of 3, the grandfather of 7, a godfather of many. Now, I said all of the things that my producer gave me on my flashcard to say about this gentleman. But I want to say about Mr. John Cleveland Phillips, affectionately known to many as Mr. Peter and Uncle Peter. I've heard so many wonderful things about Uncle Peter. I've heard so many things about Uncle Peter. I said, I have to meet this gentleman. And so it certainly has been a pleasure meeting you and sharing with you and your family. And I just want to say thank you so much for serving this country and for being a leader in your family and for all of the things that you do. For surely you are a quiet giant. I know him to come and sing and support. And those godchildren, nieces, and nephews of yours, they love you to pieces. I know that your children and your grandchildren love you, but they love you to pieces. And as a member of the community, and I'm going to take liberties to say I'm an extended part of the Phillips family, but I am so grateful to have you on the show this evening. So without any further ado, we're going to talk to Mr. John Cleveland Phillips, also known as Mr. Peter, and we're going to hear from him today some reflections on African American history. He's going to first talk to us about being a youth growing up in the South. So good evening, Mr. Peter.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
You're welcome.
I don't know if I deserved all those accolades, but I'll take them. When my wife approached me about this, I'm not one to do a lot of talking about things, but the subject of growing up in the South as a young kid is something I do talk a lot about. It was a great time to be a teenager growing up in the rural South. It was all segregated, went to all black school. And I was privileged to be around at 16 years old actually 14 years old, when the civil rights first manifested itself in the segregated South. And we could see the beginning of things changing, because even as teenagers, excuse me, there was a lot of things that was going on and that my generation, we didn't understand. We didn't understand why our parents was being treated as they were being treated differently. And it was things that we wasn't happy with. So we were always listening to discussions about, and these are discussions that we used to have in church on Sundays about Black people getting together, making a change. So when the civil rights first hit in the 60s, we heard all these people that would come and speak to us young Black youth about making a change. So quite naturally, we were eager to join the protests. And at the age of 16, I had the privilege. I didn't meet Dr. King, but I had the privilege of seeing him. And we were really fired up about doing something about civil rights. So we started the protest. We boycotted the movies where we had to, as a kid, I remember sitting up in the balcony because we wasn't allowed down in the main part of the movie. I remember riding in the back of the bus. As a matter of fact, the first time I ever come to New York as maybe a 9, 10-year-old, me and my mother had to sit on the back seat from Alabama all the way to New York. So those are things that my generation wanted to change. So when these protests began, we were very eager to get out and do these things. And so we hit the streets and started marching, and it became real when I got arrested. I was 16 years old, and they came with the the dogs and the state troopers and surrounded us, and it was chaotic, but they arrested hundreds of us. And at 16 years old, going to jail was a very it was a wake up call. It worried my parents, but the thing about our parents, they never tried to stop us from protesting. They worried about us, but not once they tell us not to. Just when I left out of the house, be careful. That's all my mother would say, be careful. But she knew that we had to do these things. So uh, growing up in an all black school, segregated school, we had secondhand books. We everything that was handed down from the white school. Um, we had to play sports on the nights that the whites were not playing because we had to use their facilities. Um, so it was very it was a weird time. But when these protests started, and we stayed in jail for 31 days, and they wouldn't let our parents see us, and my sisters came down from Rochester, New York, and that was the only way my mother got to see me, because they, being in New York, they came down. They had an idea of how to get these people uh, and how to get a lawyer to get me out of jail. But it was a great experience. It scared me at the time, but we knew it had to be done. So that was my reflection of growing up as a black in the segregated South. But it made me stronger. I wouldn't trade that for the world. It's part of who I am. It taught me a lot, and it made me want to make my kids not have to go through what I went through. So when I talk to my kids about my history, I do it because I want to make them better. I don't want them to forget what other people went through for them to be where they are. That's what I think about what my father had to go through. He's 100% more man than I could ever be. For him to have to go through what he went through to be able to raise a family, we didn't know we were poor. I mean, the man worked from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. It was his hours. And he did that with the white man's foot on his neck, so to speak. But he never complained, and he worked hard, and he would make me go to school. My mother said, "Well, why don't you make this boy help you do this? Make this boy help you." He didn't care about that. He wanted me to go to school, get them grades, and not go through what he went through. So growing up in the South was it was a very tough time, but it was a very educating time. So I marched for justice. I did my little time in jail, and I'm proud of that. I'm not proud of the jail part, but I'm proud of why I was there. And it, I knew that I had to leave the South. Didn't know where to go, how I was going to do that. College was a slim option because of if you had no scholarships, the money was not there. So I knew I had to make my own way. So I come home one day and I told my mom, I said, listen, I'm going into service. So she wasn't quite happy out there because Vietnam was just beginning. But I knew that after thinking about it, that was my best option, because I wasn't going to stay in the South and work in the steel mills or work in the Goodyear rubber plant. I knew that wasn't the life for me. I knew that as a kid, that was not going to be the life for me. So in order for me to do that, I had to find another path to get out of the South and to be my own man. I had sisters here in New York, but to come here and live off of them was not an option either. I've always been independent, and I wanted to find my own way. So I joined the Air Force, uh, joined the military, uh, did 2 tours in Vietnam, um, became a man real fast, taught me discipline. Although I had discipline growing up in the rural South with parents like we had, you had discipline. There was no such thing as not being disciplined, but uh, being in service taught me a different type of discipline. It also made a man out of me because I went to Vietnam as an 18-year-old kid. 2 days later, when I saw my first action, I became an 18-year-old man. So I had to learn real fast to think on my feet, to be strong. And people ask me, well, were you ever afraid? I don't think afraid would be the word because we were trained. You thought about things, but you couldn't let things like that bother you. So I did my first tour. I came home from my first tour, and when I came back to stateside duty, I was not happy with how we were treated stateside, being black and in the military, as opposed to being in Vietnam. You had a brotherhood. Everybody was brothers, black, white, it didn't matter. So I told my buddies, I say, I'm going back to Vietnam. And they say, man, are you crazy? I said, no. I said, well, over there, I felt like I was really in the military, and I felt like I was a part of something. And so I'm going back. So they didn't believe me. Anyway, 6 weeks later, I was on my way back, and I did my second tour. But being in the military, and I would tell anybody, if that's a path that you have to take, I recommend it. A lot of people look down on the military, but it has given me a lot. So that is part of who I am now. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but my passion is sports. I love baseball, and I'm also a Buffalo Bills fan. I got my stuff on the wall back here. So, I've played ball. I've recently inducted to the Softball Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
Which is meant a lot. Not that I played for accolades, but I played for the love of the game. But to be recognized by your peers is something great. So, I love kids. I drive school bus part time. So, I'm glad you wanted to hear my story. And if there's anything I could help you with or help anyone with, feel free to contact me, and I'm always available. And thank you very much for having me on the show.
Mr. John Billups, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us on the Carla Murphy Show. Truly, the history is rich, and please continue to tell your story. And we know that as humans, that's how we grow, and that's how traditions can be carried on, and that's how we learn our history. For certainly, people have made so many sacrifices for us to be where we are, and it is truly important for us to always remember and to reflect. So thank you for sharing some of those memories with us. And truly, thank you for sharing the Billups family with me and with the community and with the world, because they are spread out abroad and they've been a blessing to so many. So thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Carla Murphy Show. And we look forward to hearing again from you, Mr. John Cleveland Billups.
Thanks for having me.
I know that you're excited about this next guest. I know that you're excited. I can see the smile on your face, Mr. Billups. Good evening, Miss Nyla. We are so happy to have Miss Nyla Selby here. She's here with us. She's a youngpreneur. She was born in California. She's lived in Florida and Virginia. She currently resides in Houston, Texas. Miss Nyla is a graduate of Georgia Tech in the field of mechanical engineering, where she graduated in 2020. She is currently employed with ExxonMobil as a machinery engineer. She's a dance fitness instructor for the last 15 years. She is one who is excellent with ballet, jazz, tap, hip hop, modern dance. She's a certified Zumba instructor, and we are so happy to have her here with us today on the Carla Murphy Show. For truly, she is uniquely different, and she's going to teach us how to move. So, Miss Nyla, thank you so much for coming and being a part of this show, and I'm sure you're excited to see that smiling face. Mr. John is there, and I know that he's in your heart.
Hey, Grandpa.
So, Miss Nyla, thank you so much for sharing with us. And I don't know, you may have something you want to share with the world about your greatness, and then you take it away.
Sure. No, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to teach a little session. I always enjoy opportunities like this because, like I said, I was telling you privately, Zumba is a great way to keep up fitness for all age groups. So it's something I really enjoy doing, and we can get started if we're ready to go.
We're ready. Thank you.
All right. So when I start the music, just give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear and see me all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Oye, mi gente, yo vengo presentándote la zumba y ya sé que te va a gustar. Sí. Zumba, tout le monde danse la zumba, on est compris sur la zumba. Zumba, lo que traigo se llama zumba, lo que canto se llama zumba. Moula ka fè yo wine, on est un son de qualité. Gade ki chan nou ka fè yo kipe, long time nou ka kache kipe. Le weekend nou ka koumose, sol la jaman nou ka mone. Pas pa ka fè yo dekomprese, long time nou ka kache kipe. Yo no sé por qué esa música me está volviendo tan loco. Ok. Porque la llevo tan dentro, baila conmigo ya, y tú vas a descubrir lo que la zumba es. Zumba, tout le monde danse la zumba, on est compris sur la zumba. Zumba, lo que traigo se llama zumba, lo que canto se llama zumba. Ahí la tiene tu cosa buena. Algo nuevo para mi pueblo y el mundo entero, ¿vale? Moula ka fè yo wine, on est un son de qualité. Gade ki chan nou ka fè yo kipe, long time nou ka kache kipe. Gade chalea, ka fè yo danse, gade chalea, ka fè yo kipe. Quiero ver toda la gente bailar, quiero ver toda la gente gozar. No puede resistir tú a la zumba. Zumba, tout le monde danse la zumba, on est compris sur la zumba. Zumba, lo que traigo se llama zumba, lo que canto se llama zumba. Zumba, tout le monde danse la zumba, on est compris sur la zumba. Zumba, lo que traigo se llama zumba, lo que canto se llama zumba. Que lo baile, blanco, negro, hasta el mundo entero, que lo baile también. Ajá, ok. Zumba, soyez prêts pour la zumba. Ici c'est la zumba, la nouvelle danse c'est la zumba. Ce soir c'est la. Zumba, tout le monde danse la zumba, on est compris sur la zumba. Zumba, lo que traigo se llama zumba, lo que canto se llama zumba. Zumba, te va a bailar, para que tú puedes zumba. Toma, que toma, que toma, que toma, y toma, que toma, que toma, que toma, zumba. Zumba.
Oh, I already see what it is. He thinks he's a gangster.
Gangster, cause you did time. Well, listen, you're gangster. Don't cross the line. We out. We out. Beamers and Impalas, thugs and ballers. Ain't nothing safe when they start to look, man. Keep thinking we shook, man. Do 'em like Bethune and Cook, man. You ain't ready for the things to look, Trump. You really think you live? But we can take this thing outside. Park the dump, park the truck, and let them things. Gangster, cause you did time. Listen, gangster, don't cross the line. We out. Don't fail. We out. Si me van a tirar, que tiren bien. A mí no me importa quién. Un consejo que lo piensen bien. Y cuida que yo vengo a 100. Prepárate, yo no juego. Lo único que tengo es mi palabra y los dos juegos. So respeten el movimiento. Oye, y deja el invento. Vengo, mira, papo, lo siento. Pero la verdad es que no pueden con esto. Y si tú crees que lo tienen bien puesto, entonces ponga puesto. Dale. Gangster, cause you did time. Well, listen, you're gangster. Don't cross the line. We out. Them day kind of boys ride shutters with the pipes out, and they get to put the pipe out. But the question is, who the fuck wanna fight me? Well, when you ride by the blocks and overlock, all they scream is yeah. Este cubanito no es Willy Chirino, pero ya él llego. It's my turn, my grind. If you think it's a game, play with it right. Thank you, gangster, cause you did time. Well, listen, you gangster, don't cross the line. We out. We out. You think you're gangster, cause you did time. Well, listen, you're gangster, don't cross the line. We out. We out.
Lovely.
Joanna, your busy body busy tonight. Joanna, making on the dummy tonight. Joanna, your busy body giving me life, oh, hey life, hey. How you do me like Joanna, Joanna? How you do me like Joanna, Joanna? How you gonna do me like Joanna, Joanna? Hey Joanna, Joanna? Ay. Hey. How you gonna play me like Drogba, How you gonna do me like Drogba, Oh, DJ Drogba, Hey, DJ Drogba, Joanna, your busy body busy tonight. Joanna, making all the dummy tonight. Joanna, your busy body giving me life, oh, hey life, hey. How you do me like Joanna, Joanna? How you do me like Joanna, Joanna? How you gonna do me like Joanna, Joanna? Hey Joanna, Joanna. Joanna, why you do me just like that? I go give you all my love. Love me too, I love you back. Joanna, you be the man damn sugar. Man damn sugar. Oh, hey. Give me your goodie bag, I want your goodie bag, baby. Give me your goodie bag, I want your goodie bag, baby. Big package, hey. How do I manage? Hey, you gon' make me turn savage. Hey, body cause damage. Hey, Joanna, Joanna. How you do me like Joanna? Joanna. How you gonna do me like Joanna? Joanna. Hey, Joanna. Joanna. Hey, how you gonna play me like Drogba? How you gonna do me like Drogba? Oh, DJ Drogba, DJ Drogba. Give it to Dan, hands up. Give it to Dan, hey, give it to Dan. Give it to Dan. Hey, Dan. Hey, Dan.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Miss Nyla Selby, all the way from Houston, Texas. But certainly she is a mover and a shaker. And we thank you so much for sharing with us on the Carla Murphy Show. And truly, you are uniquely different. An engineer and a dancer. And I just love it, love it, love it. And I had to have this other face to come on so that you can see this Miss Brenda Phillips, my producer. Miss Brenda, did I do all right with my introduction of Mr. Phillips this evening?
I didn't know who you were speaking about until I saw the face. I said, oh my, that's my roommate. That was, oh my God, I didn't know he was into all of that. But quite an interesting old man you have there. Very, very interesting.
Thank you so much. I tried to follow.
That's part of my legacy. You guys just saw dancing there. I'm tired. You wore me out, kid.
That makes two of us, Mr. Phillips. But I know when I would go to Zumba, they would say, if you can't do the moves, just move. The important thing is just move. So, Miss Nyla, I tried to do what I could from the chair. Move, okay?
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, I just want to say, Nyla, I miss it. I used to take a Zoom class once a week, and when pandemic hit, I couldn't do it anymore, but I miss it and I love it. You did an awesome job.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, let us know when class starts.
Well, now, Miss Deborah, because you can watch the Carla Murphy Show Uniquely Different, you can share with your friends and your family. We've had such an amazing show tonight. And I am just so thankful to each of you for taking the time to come and share. And we wanted this to be a special moment because we know that Miss Brenda, Miss Deborah, Mr. Phillips, Miss Nyla, they're all connected. And we're truly all connected as one. And we know that family is important. It is a family affair. It is always good to look back and to remember. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart to each of you. And for anyone who's looking to share about their greatness, the Carla Murphy Show Uniquely Different, we're here to feature you. Please call me at area code 716-553-3109. Again, 716-553-3109. Or you can email me, Carla Murphy, uniquelydifferent@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I look forward to hearing from you. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful night. Until we meet again, the Carla Murphy Show, uniquely different. Bye.
Yeah, night, guys.